Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. So in today's video, we're going to go through one of the most controversial topics on internet. Can iPad replace your MacBook? I did a video on this last week and I showed you how iPad is still lacking some of the key functionalities that will require it to replace your MacBook. But in today's video, I want to take you through why I use iPad not as a laptop replacement, but as an iPad. Okay, let's first talk about where does iPad perform better than a laptop and where do you get a better experience compared to a laptop? Hands down, media consumption. iPad's OLED screen and the speakers give you such a great immersive experience. You enjoy watching content on your iPad. You know, I will be sitting on my couch, I'll be sitting on my dining table, I'll be in my bed, I'll be at my desk and consuming content such as from YouTube, from Netflix, from Apple TV. And the experience on iPad is much more immersive because of the screen quality, because of the speakers, and that experience you don't usually get from a laptop. Laptop is more for doing serious work, right? It's about getting things done. But you need a device which is portable enough to carry around everywhere, but you're able to watch the content in really high quality, and that's where iPad comes in. And it's not only the media consumption, the creativity with an iPad is also great. With the Apple Pencil Pro, you can stretch the creativity with an iPad. So you can't do that on a laptop. You can't sketch on MacBook screen. MacBook screens are not touch screens anyway. So iPad has its own use case. I do all my photo editing on iPad. I actually never did photo editing on MacBook. I never did photo editing on my Mac Studio. All the photo editing that I do for my thumbnails, for my Instagram photos, for carousel posts, everything is done on the Lightroom app within iPad. And with Apple Pencil Pro, you get the precision and the control to make sure you get the perfect edit on your content. And then there's casual computing like emails, like browsing web and doing FaceTime calls and even doing Teams call. For that, iPad is really, really good. It's very portable and it's easy to just get those things done on the go. Even when I'm at home, I don't usually do those tasks on my Mac Studio because Mac Studio is more for like doing serious work, mostly editing, mostly like rendering, creating 3D designs, and that's why it's expensive because it's able to do all those things. And MacBook is more for updating documents, creating presentations, maybe doing some bit more intense design work on apps like Canva as an example, or Photoshop. And the iPad then nicely fits within that segment of where you don't need that intense work, but it actually is a better experience. So photo editing is brilliant. Emailing is much better because you have the dedicated app and it's much faster and quicker. Again, FaceTime is a great experience. You have the center camera and you're able to talk with your friends and family. You can also use apps like WhatsApp on your iPad now. So again, this is where I talk about how iPad should be used as an iPad. And if you try to do everything you try and do on your laptop on your iPad, you will get frustrated because it's not designed for that purpose. So those three things, media consumption, creativity, and casual computing, that's designed for iPad. You can do it on your MacBook, but the experience is nowhere close. The quality of a laptop screen is not like iPad Pro, and the speakers are not like iPad Pro. Again, for creativity, you don't have the touch screen, you don't have the Apple Pencil support. And then with casual computing, apps are much faster, much quicker to turn on and just get things done. So perfect for those three scenarios. And that's where, if you find yourself doing a lot of that, then get an iPad Pro, or get any iPad for that matter, and use it as an iPad. Okay, now the question is, why don't I try to make it work? I definitely take my iPad more with me when I'm out. I don't take my laptop with me. So why don't I try to do something that a laptop can? And there are instances where I have to, there's an email that I have to respond back to and I have to attach a document. I have to go to this Files apps, a Google Drive app. And this is where I nod my head and I said, you know what, this is not going to replace my MacBook. And seriously, I think there was a time when I actually punched my iPad because I was in the middle of this conversation with a very important client. And I'm trying to respond back to the email, attach a document, and trying to go to the File app to find the recent document. And it wasn't working. It just kept doing funny things, and the cursor wasn't going where it's supposed to go. The files are not downloading correctly. It's not even attaching. I click on attach the document. It doesn't click. It doesn't attach. And then that's when you try to get to this point where no, iPad is an iPad. Don't make it work like a laptop. So instead of getting frustrated with your iPad and thinking, wow, God, I spent like £1,000 on this or $1,000 on this, and it's not worth investment, don't make it do what it's not supposed to do. Use it for what it's supposed to be used for. And if you don't have a use case for what I just mentioned to you about where iPad is really good at, then don't go with an iPad. Just go with a laptop. Okay, guys, that brings me to the end of this video. I'd like to thank you for watching the video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to this channel. And if you found this useful, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And if you are an iPad user or looking to get an iPad, let me know in the comment section below and let's continue the conversation there. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.